So today we're going to tear down a really unique AI system. It wasn't built in some massive corporate lab. It was built by a journalist turned coder, Jack Mason, for a super passionate community, people who build their own electric cars. This is all about what he calls vibe coding. Basically, programming an AI that gets the community's whole deal. Trust, safety, real expertise. So let's get into how you build an AI that thinks like an expert mechanic instead of just a glorified search engine. And really, this is the whole ballgame, isn't it? When you're messing around with high-voltage stuff in your own garage, bad advice isn't just a hassle. It can be deadly. You can't just go ask some random chatbot for help. No way. You need advice you can trust, that's safe, and that actually understands the specific car you're working on. Okay, check out the difference here. On the left, you've got your generic AI answer. It's vague, it's incomplete, and honestly, it's just plain dangerous. But on the right, you have the conversion coach. Just look at how specific it is. It knows you've got a '65 Mustang. It knows that car has vacuum brakes, and it tells you exactly what that means for your build. It even gives you a part, a price range, and the reason why. That is the difference we're going to unpack.
All right, so here's the plan for our deep dive. First, we'll look at the very foundation of this whole system, its one-of-a-kind knowledge base. Then, we'll get into the weeds of its 10-layer architecture, see the breakthrough that makes it so trustworthy, explore how it's learning to pull out even deeper wisdom, and finally, we'll look at the next big mountain it's trying to climb. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the data. But here's the twist. Unlike most AIs that just scrape the entire internet, the conversion coach is built on a very specific, hand-picked library of knowledge. This isn't just random data, it's the DNA of the community's vibe. Think of it less like a giant public library and more like a specialist's personal, curated collection of research.
So that collection kicks off with more than 1,700 videos. We're talking detailed build series, deep dives on specific parts, you name it, all from the most respected builders in the community.
And on top of that, you've got 83 deeply analyzed forum threads. Now, this is so important because the forums, that's where the real messy work happens. The mistakes, the troubleshooting, the aha moment, it's all in there.
And when you transcribe all that video content, you end up with a knowledge base of over 3.3 million words. That is the raw material, the collective brainpower of the entire EV building community, all written down and ready to go.
And here's the key takeaway, the thing you really gotta get. It's all about quality over quantity. Because every single bit of data comes from a trusted source inside the EV Builder Guild, the AI's entire foundation is rock solid. It's not learning from angry comments on YouTube, it's learning from documented, real-world projects. This is how you literally encode the vibe of expertise. So you've got this amazing foundation of data, but how do you actually turn millions of words into a single smart answer? Well, that's where this complex 10-layer architecture comes in. You can almost think of it like an intelligence agency, where different analysts all add their own expertise to build one comprehensive report.
Okay, so this gives us the bird's eye view. It all starts with those raw sources we just talked about, the videos, the forums. Then, it layers on rules for the specific car you're working on. It looks for patterns across the whole community. It pulls in synthesized intelligence. It adds newly captured builder wisdom. And finally, it connects to your actual project in real time. All of these layers work together to create one answer.
And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures the goal. The system isn't trying to just write a static, boring article. The whole point is to generate a living, breathing briefing, one that's always getting updated as more people build stuff, and one that's always tied back to hard evidence.
This brings us to the secret sauce, the core architectural rule that makes this entire system trustworthy. It's a principle called structured evidence first. And it's a really simple idea with some pretty profound results. This is the engine that powers the whole vibe.
So what does that actually mean? Well, think of it like this. Before the AI is allowed to write a single sentence of explanation, it first has to go into the data and pull out the raw, verifiable facts. We're talking direct quotes from builders, data on how many projects used a specific part, stuff like that. It has to build a skeleton of pure evidence first.
And what you get from that is a complete, verifiable paper trail for every single claim the AI makes. It can't just make things up or hallucinate, because every single statement it makes is anchored to a piece of evidence it was forced to find beforehand. And honestly, this isn't just a fix for one small community. It's a potential blueprint for building AI you can actually trust in any field where the stakes are high. All right, so the system is a beast when it comes to facts. But we all know true expertise is more than just what you do, right? It's about how you think. And that's what the newest layers of this system are all about, trying to extract that deeper wisdom. This is the next level of vibe coding.
So this first new layer, what they call decision reasoning, is designed to sniff out those moments where a builder explains the why behind a choice. It's not just that they picked motor A over motor B. It's the whole thought process, the trade-offs they considered, the context of their specific car, and the full rationale for their final decision. The next layer is all about what you could call expert Q&A. You know how some of the best advice comes from these off-the-cuff, spontaneous moments in a live stream or forum thread? Well, this layer is designed to find those little golden nuggets of wisdom and lock them down into a format that can be used again and again, so that knowledge never gets lost.
And this last one might be the coolest of all. It's about capturing what the developers call debugging narratives. When something goes wrong, an expert doesn't just guess. They have a mental model, a process of elimination. This layer actually captures that entire story, what they tried first, why it didn't work, and the breakthrough that finally led to the solution. It captures the priceless process of figuring things out.
Okay, so this system sounds pretty amazing, right? But it's not perfect, and it has this one really fascinating blind spot, which brings us to its next big challenge. Let's look at a real-world case, a complete Porsche 914 conversion that was documented across 27 different videos.
From the AI's point of view, it's not looking at one big project. It just sees 27 totally separate, disconnected videos that happen to be about the same car. It's a classic case of seeing the trees, but completely missing the forest.
But that's not how a human sees it, right? We see a story. We see a logical path. You have to prep the car before you can run the high-voltage cables. You have to assemble the battery system before you can do your first power-up. Each stage depends on the one before it. There's a narrative flow, a sequence. And that right there is the current challenge. The system doesn't get this sequential story, what the developers are calling the arc. It can analyze each individual video with incredible detail, but it has no idea that the decision made in video #5 is what makes the work in video #9 even possible. And because it can't see that full arc, it's missing out on a whole other level of intelligence. It doesn't understand the real dependencies between tasks. It can't tell you the hardest parts of a build. It doesn't really know when a project is truly done. And it can't see how the difficulty ramps up over the course of a whole project.
Which leaves us with this huge, fascinating question. After mastering the art of analyzing individual pieces of evidence with near-perfect integrity, the next great challenge is to teach this AI to step back and actually understand the narrative, to see the entire journey, not just the individual steps along the way. So how do you teach an AI to see the whole story?